Welcome to the Tuscarawas County Anti-Drug Coalition podcast, bringing you open and honest conversations about resources in Tuscarawas County. Now here's your host, Jody Salvo.
Hi, this is Jody Salvo. Welcome to another Tuscarawas County Anti-Drug Coalition podcast. Today I have a dear friend of mine, Derrick Jenkins, and hopefully some of y'all know Derrick from just being out in the community. Counselor, person in recovery. He's actually not working right in Tuscarawas County right now, but I think a lot of us might know him just from the work he's done in the past here in Tuscarawas County. So, Derrick, I'm just going to let you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Name is Derrick Jenkins. Be 25 years clean tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fun. Right. So March 3rd.
March 3rd is my anniversary, 1996.
Okay, that's awesome.
When I got clean and sober.
25 years.
25 years. I mean, I remember being 2 days clean, thinking I was in California, whether or not I could get 30 days, you know?
Yep.
And then I remember calling my sponsor 1 year into my sobriety and say, hey, I got a year. You know, he said, what comes after a year?
A lifetime.
I said 2 years. He said, no. He said, no, a year and 1 day. So he kept me grounded.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
And I think, you know, having good people in my life has got me to where I'm at today.
That is so cool.
And it's been a blessing. So
Neat. So where do you want to start today? You want to start back at kind of your path that got you into addiction?
Yes.
Okay. And
we can start there.
We're not going to stay there, though, because I want to hear people hear a life transformed.
Yes.
And
I just want to say, you know, growing up in Canton with two parents, you know, two great parents, both my mother and father, they were good people, with six siblings.
Okay.
And so we had a big family. You know, we all, you know, always had, you know, activities going on. We always had a lot of love in the house, and good things happened. 3 older brothers, 1 older sister, and a younger sister.
Okay.
So 6 of us.
So you were one of the young ones.
I was, the baby boy. And I got a sister that's 5 years younger than me.
Okay.
And, you know, all I can remember about my childhood is that it was good. I was a spoiled kid. I mean, being one of the youngest, you know, especially for 5 years before my sister was born, you know, I was spoiled. So I had a lot of things that I wanted. And that was, to me, was everything. I think the turning point in my young life was getting involved in sports.
Okay.
You know, that's something that I thrived at because I had older brothers and I wanted to be like them.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that always makes that young one much better.
And so I had a lot of success playing sports. And, you know, that continued. We played music, too. I played the drums. We were in a band. And, you know, just a lot of good things. Like my dad, he was a musician. My mom, she worked at the Hoover Company.
Okay.
And so we would watch my dad perform, you know.
What did he play?
He played the organ.
Okay.
Yes. His brother, Uncle Marvin, played for Della Reese for 25 years.
Oh,
so
wow.
we were just grew up around music.
Yeah.
And so it was nice, you know. My sisters sing, my brothers play the drums. So we always had music going on and, you know, fun and other things.
Okay, this family's sounded pretty fun to be in, huh?
Yeah, it was fun. I think another turning point, though, was as I got to be a teenager, like 13, I met a group of guys that, you know, was drinking and using, and, you know, peer pressure got me.
These guys older than you or your age?
Yeah, one was older. Both of them was older than me, and so very convincing, you know.
Yeah.
And when I tried the alcohol for the first time, it was a bad experience. I got sick. Didn't really care for it. Then, you know, here come the marijuana right behind there. I didn't like that experience either, But, you know, when you're around people, you continue to do those things. And then, looking back, 13 was awful young. Mm-hmm. You know, I was just a little teenager. Here I am doing something that's very harmful. But
so do you can you remember, was it to fit in?
It was to fit in for me because I was always like a leader. And this was like one of the first times that I became a follower. Was doing something that I was totally against. I didn't want to do that. Honestly, I liked where I was at in my young life. I remember I was really a happy young man. Yeah. A young kid, and here it is. I'm, hanging out with some guys, and that doesn't mean they were bad people. It's just what they were involved in, and it just, when you hang around those individuals, you end up doing what they do, and so when I tried it, it was just something that was about to be the downfall of my life. Mm-hmm. Not right then. It didn't get me the first initial time that I tried it. Eventually, later on down the road, as I continue to speak, I'll share that. But it got me later. So at 15 years old, first time I had sex, I had a kid.
You're kidding.
Yeah. First time's everything. First times was bad.
Someone else was just telling me that same story. First time. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So at 15.
15, I had eventually had a son, turning 16.
Now that's a lot to deal with.
It as a young person, I had a lot of responsibility at that point. But I can say that I was up for the challenge. Love my son more than anything in the world. And
so what did that look like? Was you and the young woman same house or your own homes?
No.
And
So
taking care of baby?
It was a lot more like she was at home with her parents, and I was at home with my parents, and our experience was, for me anyway, I can't remember exactly what her experience was prior to me, but my first time was with her, and she was come from a religious family. Her father was a pastor, so that was difficult.
I'm just thinking that whole conversation was difficult.
It was difficult because they came over to talk to my parents and me about what direction we were going to go in, and we were not in a relationship. It was just an experience.
Yeah.
I felt bad. I felt bad for her. I felt bad for me because we were so young.
Yeah, you guys were babies.
Yes, having a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I can say that we both, probably learned from our experiences from that.
Sure.
But, I got custody of him when he was 5 years old. So,
Sole custody?
Sole custody, yeah. He stayed with me and my parents.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you were 20 at this point.
I was 20 at this point. But before that, I want to say, though, even having a kid in high school, I felt shame. Like, I had for some reason I felt people were looking at me different because I had a kid. But that was my own, thinking.
Sure.
And, but I wanted to do right by him. And I did do right by him. I got a job. I went on, played sports, and I, made something out of myself. At 17, though, I wanted to say, I was kind of involved in drinking and, all those things like that. But when he was born, I think another turning point was when I was turning 17, I gave my life to Christ. And so
changes everything,
right? And it just eliminated the whole process of hanging out around negative individuals and trying to stay focused on what I needed to stay focused on. I know that's what's got me through high school, kept me focused, and then got me a job at Goodyear.
Okay.
So that was kind of like a snapshot of my teenage years to, getting custody of my son, and then working at a prominent company like Goodyear.
Yeah.
So everything was going good. And then 22 years old is when I tried cocaine. And
now, what got you to try cocaine?
I was hanging out with a friend, and and he had some cocaine on him. Again, here I am. I'm back to being a leader, but now I'm back into being a follower. Back in the seat of being a follower. He had some cocaine, and convinced me like, they try it out. You might like it, and me trying it, and Worst thing I could have done.
Was it a pretty quick addiction to that?
It was a quick addiction.
Okay.
That didn't take long at all. Because up until this point, I just maybe drink occasionally because I was about working out. I was about fitness. I was about staying, fit and in shape and good health,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't smoke marijuana or anything like that. Didn't smoke cigarettes or anything like that. It was just that, the health thing. And still playing ball, rec ball, and all those things like that. So, and taking care of my son. But at 22 years old, I'll never forget that. First time that I tried cocaine, it was an instant addiction. It was an instant high. And, I would like to say I'm an energetic person, but that stimulant kind of intensified that.
Okay.
And so from that point, from 22 years old up to 24 years old, I snorted cocaine pretty much every day.
Okay. Functional, working, doing everything.
All that. Functioning, working out, everything. And I started to have seizures, though, cocaine convulsions. And that was they were starting to get pretty bad. And it's because I was doing too much.
Okay.
And
at that point, given you're conscious about your health, were you then trying to stop or?
I wanting to stop, but I couldn't stop.
Okay.
I'm addicted to it. At this point, I had to have it. And I couldn't do it by myself. I couldn't stop by myself. It was always around me. My brother had got involved in it, and that's how, I was able to keep it. He didn't want me to do it. I don't think anyone wanted to see me get hooked on it,
Right.
And it just got out of hand for me till I had this one bad seizure, a convulsion, or whatever you want to call it. My dad was there when I woke up, and I think that was enough for me. It was like, God, I remember saying, God, if you get me out of this, please get me out of this. I could hear my dad. Must have been in the actual seizure, and I can hear the fear in his voice, and I just said, God, please get me out of this. Please let me live. And he did. When I woke up, I see, I saw my dad's face, and it was just horrible.
Oh, I'm sure.
He was devastated. But that stopped. I actually stopped snorting cocaine.
Okay.
24 years old. I didn't do no cocaine, no more. Plus, I was losing my eyesight. I had uveitis. I was losing my eyesight because of the cut they was cutting the cocaine with. The poison. It was poisonous. It was affecting my body, but it was attacking my eyesight. So, to this date, I had 7 eye surgeries.
Wow.
7 eye surgeries. So, I don't blame it all on cocaine, but I think it's, I had a lot to do with it.
Sure.
Okay. But I was able to get back healthy again and doing well for an extended period of time. But then, my thinking was, I can sell it, and,
Dumb idea, huh?
Yeah, bad idea. Sold it for a while. And at that time, they was rocking it up. And it's called crack cocaine. And, make a long story short, I tried that. And I thought powder cocaine was it. Crack cocaine took me to a whole nother level. At the end of my addiction with crack cocaine, I was homeless and trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I actually said to a group of individuals that I was getting high with one night in the basement that I'd rather be dead than live like this. Because, I had so many goals for myself, and at this point, I'm living to get high. I'm not even living to be productive at this point. I'm living to get high. What's my next? How am I going to get some money to get high today? It's when I open my eyes before my feet even hit the ground. It was like, how am I going to get high?
So what happened during that time? Relationships with family?
Yes. So
all that kind of stuff.
At the time, I was in a relationship with a young lady, which at the end, the addiction went out. We had to separate. We were engaged, but we separated because my addiction was that bad. I was hurting my mother, father, my son, my brothers and sisters didn't want to see me like that. A lot of close friends were concerned about me too, And so that was probably the most hurtful thing to know, even going in and out of treatment from 25 to 30 each year and not having no success at sobriety.
Okay.
You know, because I never, for one, admitted that I had a problem. Two, I might have said the things that the counselors wanted me to, wanted to hear. And so therefore, I always thought that I can come out and do it differently. Like, my life is not quite as bad as theirs. I don't look as quite as bad as that individual. But at the end, I became those individuals and worse. So I learned not to compare myself to anyone at the end. So I was able to, through prayer and that, I was in a crack house. And I remember saying, a week before, I cried out to God that, I tried to blow my heart up by getting high. Like, I don't want to live no more. I was trying to, I was so depressed that I tried to blow my heart up. But I tell you, thank God he kept me alive. I remember getting on my hands and knees and throwing my hands up and saying, God, please, spare me from this addiction. If you spare me from this addiction, I will become a soldier for you. And at the time, I didn't know that I would be doing all the things I ended up doing, but I was seriously.
He took you at your word, huh?
Yes, but I wanted to say, I knew the Lord because I grew up in a household that we did go to church. We did go to Bible studies, and so I knew the Lord. It wasn't like I didn't know who He was. It was just at that point I wasn't exercising and practicing my faith. But at that point, when I called out, it was just a matter of time within probably a week that He ended up taking the taste out of my mouth. And I never forget I was at a U.S. Ceramic Tile then down in East Sparta. I never forget. I was on the phone helpline asking for help. And the lady said, call me every day for the next 4 days. And as she was working on getting me a flight out to California to get clean. And I called her every day. She said, high or not, I was high. But then I think it was like maybe February 28th. It was that weekend that my last high was like really snorting cocaine was March 1st. My last drink was March 2nd. And then on March 3rd, I was on the airplane out to California, Anaheim, California, got clean.
That is so awesome.
So, and I've been clean ever since. So the journey has been.
So God met you.
Yes.
On your knees in a crack house.
In a crack house.
Heard you crying out.
Crying. I was desperate. I was desperate. I wanted help. Yeah. I wanted to stop. I couldn't stop on my own though.
Yeah.
But when I called on Him, He put people in my path that helped me look at myself in the way that I need to look at myself. Yeah. Find out why I was picking this stuff up when I know that it's harming everything around me, causing problems from, physical problems, emotional problems, depression, and hurting my mom and dad. That to me and my son, that was the most difficult thing that I faced.
Yeah.
And, but, I was up for the challenge. And I was out in California for about 7-8 months, I think. And then I came back to Ohio, and then I hit the ground running.
Yeah, and what's life like after that?
So life has been like, for the past 25 years, it's too much to talk about. I can tell you, we can go one decade at a time. But in the first 10 years was really rough because I lost my brother. He was murdered. I lost both my parents within the 10 years, my grandmother and an aunt, and one of my first cousins.
All in your first decade?
With my first 10 years of sobriety. Yeah.
So how did that affect your sobriety?
Yeah, it was difficult. When my brother got murdered, I probably got off track for about 3 months because I was going to meetings all the time. I was involved in helping people. Okay. And I was a counselor as well in a correctional facility. And I don't know. Because we didn't know who had killed him. I thought I better resign from this correctional facility because that person may come through and I wouldn't know I don't know how I would react. So that was the toughest thing. And what happened is I got to a place where didn't want to go to meetings. I put myself on the path to relapse rather than stand in recovery. But then one day I was driving down 77. I started my home group meeting, a Cocaine Anonymous meeting, and it dawned on me like, dude, what are you doing? But I know when I say it's dawned on me, I know that was God again intervening in my life to make me to see like I'm on the wrong path. Right. I remember turning my car around and going into that meeting. And when I went into that meeting, the people that was in that meeting, I mean, they greeted me with nothing but love. You know, people were crying. It made me cry. It made me think about some of the things that I had got away from. And so from that point, I never forget, this is another, I think, crucial point in my life because someone had asked me to read something in the Alcoholics Anonymous big book. And it's about resentments. If you have a resentment that you want to be free of, you need to pray for that person and ask God to give that person what you would want for yourself, even when you don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. You know.
So this was about the guy who murdered your brother? Okay.
Yes. So I had to actually pray for this individual and ask God to give him what I would want for myself. Because if you say you love God and you trust God and you have faith in God, then God is who he is. He will deal with that individual when that time comes. But for me, for my sanity and for, my peace of mind, I had to do that.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the hardest things that I had to do in my early part of my recovery. And, but it was the most rewarding experience because I'm still here.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it. But
so you had a ton of losses.
Yeah.
New in recovery. So what were some of those? Obviously your faith, going to group. What else kind of were those protective factors? Because that's a lot to go through.
It is.
Early in recovery.
I had a lot of support, At this time I met my wife and she was very strong in her faith.
Okay.
So she and I had a lot of conversations, had a lot of support, like from a lot of people. Like my dad, when I lost my dad, I was sponsoring people. And, one of the gentlemen I was sponsor, he was helping me more than I was helping him because, he was just there to listen to whatever I had to say and just, kind of, encourage me to stay on the path that I was on. That was in 97. In 2001, I'm 5 years into my sobriety and then I lose my brother. What helped me in that aspect was just me getting back on, the right, knowing that I'm on the wrong path.
Yeah.
To working in the field too, that helped, kind of ground me as well.
So when you got back from California, did you go to school?
Yeah, I went back to college.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to college, got my first degree in 2005, and then kept going, and then I got another degree in 2013.
Okay.
And social work. And so,
Happy Social Work Month. Yeah. I'm a social worker too.
Right. So yeah, just those things like that. But I think just looking, I did, and I became like numb to life. It seemed like my first 10 years, I was kind of numb. I had to go to counseling. That's something that, I didn't believe in, that I needed, that would help me.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a counselor, I felt like I was strong enough that I didn't need no help, that I can work through it through going to meetings, talking to a sponsor, praying and going to church. But, going to see us.
So if you have to say anything to anyone out there listening about counseling, what would you say?
Go.
I
love it. It's the best thing for you, for me anyway. And I still to this day, if I feel that I need to go talk to a psychologist or my counselor, I'm going because I want to be healthy. I want to be live the fullest life that I can possibly live. And I know that I don't have to do this by myself. So,
I know a lot of people have barriers or stigma around counseling. I want you just why is it different than just having a good friend? What would you recommend? What is that added benefit of a counselor?
A counselor helps you think about the decisions that you're making. Counseling gives you skills, coping skills to deal with problems that you're faced with. It also helps you find solutions to your problems. So there's so much about counseling that people, yeah, they have a negative stigma on that. Counseling is almost, they feel like they're weak individuals to ask for help. And that's far from the truth. You're a stronger person by asking for help than you are not asking for help. And for me, being a counselor and a pretty good counselor over the years, I've gotten better and better with my counseling skills, able to kind of sell recovery to people because it's a life. It's a way of life. It's not just something you do. It's a way of life. You can actually have a productive lifestyle if you just do some of the simple things that the counselors are asking you, or counseling experiences that you may come across.
Something that you had said prior to speaking about counseling really kind of triggered in my own head. I mean, that was a lot to deal with. And I was thinking, what tools did you use? And that's where you got your tools. So you need that support, that faith was very important in your recovery. There were a lot of things. But you also need to replace, probably self-medicating became a tool to deal with life.
Yes.
So you need to learn new tools, because if you don't replace them, right, you're kind of at risk.
You are
for relapse or...
Exactly. And I think for me, just doing things differently, going to sober conventions. And, I remember being a part of a Cocaine Anonymous, and I was traveling to World Cocaine Anonymous conventions, being one of the main speakers.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had a lot of great experiences. And Tri-County State, conventions where I'm like the guest speakers, and it was like, wow. But just changing my surroundings, and just getting away from the people or the environments that caused me to fail helped me to be successful.
Did you stay living in Canton?
I did.
Okay.
When I went to California, I lived in California for a little while, but then I came back to Ohio. And when I came back to Ohio, I stayed in the environment, but then, eventually life changed for me where we were able to buy homes and get away from, the city. But, still I know a lot of people, and, it's not about now a person trying to entice me to use or to encourage me to use. I think when you show a person that you consistent and you sincere about your recovery, they then tend to buy into what you're doing and they become supportive. Even a person that's using, cool. And it's like they want the best for you, even in their addiction, as you can, I continue to show family, friends, hey, look, this is my life. It's a great life because I'm not doing some of the things you're doing. I'm not better than you. I'm just not doing those things. They tend to want to gravitate to, having a conversation and thinking about where they are in their life. So, yeah.
Neat.
Yes. It's been great.
So first decade.
First decade was the depths. The second decade was just now, me coming into my own and me trying to really figure out where I want to go with my life. And so what that entailed was, me getting, going back to school, getting a higher licensure, and trying to figure out, what it is that, Derrick wants out of life, because when you're getting clean and sober, you are pretty much, you got to maintain that. You have to, go to your meetings, get your medicine. They say, get your medicine, go to meetings, call your sponsors, be around, supportive people. So I felt my kids and my wife had to sacrifice because I was doing those things to lay down my foundation. So then after, the first 10 years, the second 10 years was being more involved with my family, my kids and grandkids, and trying to figure out, what do I want to do that's going to bring some type of happiness in my life. And, it's a journey.
Yep.
And I finally figured it out. It took some time, going through some adversity and facing some challenging situations that I was able to overcome, that now I know exactly what direction I want to go in.
And what is that? Share
so right now I'm an entrepreneur, right? So it's like, okay, I have a website, DerrickVJenkins.com. It's, I got to update some things on there, but having that website and having these skills that I have and a lot of different, experiences, I want to say, has allowed me to be an independent contractor. So
like recovery coaching or
a little bit of all that. I mean, I have my certification to be a recovery coach, but right now, I'm working in Marietta, Ohio right now, 3 days a week as a operations supervisor, temporary operations supervisor, because that's a skill level that I have. I got hired based off of some of the skills, and this contract is for a year. So this position ends the week of March 22nd, and then I'll be transferred to Akron.
Okay.
And then I'll be, from my understanding, over a coffee shop, a recovery coffee shop.
Oh, that
something
sounds
totally
cool.
different. Yeah. So I'm getting all these experiences because it's based off of skill. Like, what am I able to bring to the table? And I think now I can market myself in ways that I never did before. I was sharing earlier with the young man that, I'm doing virtual domestic violence workshops for inmates in the Lorraine Correctional Institution.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I'm doing virtual. It's like being right there and, experience some success with having these guys really look at me as a, not as just a leader, but a person, like a role model, Mm-hmm. So I do that domestic violence on Tuesdays and anger management on Thursdays. Just like I said, it's just a blessings. I mean, being a consultant to my son who's running his business and just kind of just being that example for him and learning through my mistakes what not to do and seeing him have some success. So I'm able to be a consultant to him. Doing so many things, refereeing basketball still, staying in shape and giving back to the community, doing so much. I'm missing so much that I'm doing because I'm in it. When you're in it, you're not really thinking about it.
You don't even think of it.
You just do
life.
It's just life, right? And now I'm able to enjoy what I'm doing. Slowing down and just seeing like, wow, how grateful I am to be sober, to be in this mindset that I am, and thanking God that I didn't give in or give up and throw in the towel, that life would, be so bad because you lose people that you love. But in the same sense, that how beautiful life is because you can do some things that you never did before.
Now, if you were speaking to someone still in addiction or early recovery, what would you want them to hear?
That life is worth it. No matter what you're struggling with, maybe whether you're drug of choice, whatever that may be, that don't allow the drug to dominate you, that if there's a way out and it's worth it. Be sincere and honest with yourself that it's causing you problems and just ask for help. There's so many people out here in Tuscarawas County that'll help you. All you have to do is ask for help. It doesn't matter if it's Tuscarawas County or any other county, but just reach out and ask for help, and you'll see that's the first step, is you admitting to yourself that your vice is causing you issues in your life and that you want to change.
And that you're worth it.
You're worth it. Every bit of it. Just like I'm worth it. I'm still worth it to this day. And I tell people that I work with that they're worth it. You may not like yourself right now, but eventually you will. You just got to get yourself some help.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I don't even know if there's much more else that we need to say other than you're worth it. And it might not be easy at first, but I think that's the beauty of having 25 years to look back, is to see, life is hard.
It is.
And we go through periods of time. Whether we're in addiction or not, life is hard.
But it's rewarding.
It is. And especially now as we're getting a little bit older, to kind of see those fruits and those children, and you're mentioning grandchildren.
Grandchildren. Being a part of their life, seeing them grow up.
And you love to give back. I think service is huge,
Yes. And those are the essentials, help another person. You helping yourself. When you helping them, you're helping yourself. It's just staying grounded, not getting away from your roots, your foundation and everything, And I do want to say to people, building that foundation is very important. Whether you're an adolescent, whether you're vaping, whoever may see this that's, on the wrong path, that that maybe you shouldn't have got high. Don't beat yourself up. Just get yourself out of that situation and just know that within inside yourself, you are strong, and by you getting away from people who's trying to entice you to vape or entice you to do drugs or entice you to do pills or whatever the situation may be, you're worth it and you can get out of it. And, think positive. I think for me to be able to work with a lot of different people, all different ages, and it doesn't matter what kind of background you have, that I'm able to just say, look around you. If you're unhappy with what you're doing, make some changes. And that's the bottom line, is just getting away from those individuals that's not good from you and surrounding yourself around people who care about you and love you and want to see you be successful.
Derrick, honestly, I think you just nailed it right there.
Yes.
I think we're going to wrap it up now, but, You're Worth It. Help's available. All you have to do is reach out. We've been posting this Hope line that was just released. It literally is easy as calling the number, and someone will answer or call you back. We can get someone to walk beside you till we get some appointments, whatever we need, getting you the right level of care. And then just doing life intentionally, doing the work that needs to be done. I loved you saying, 10 years, that's a long time. And you were able to say, I know this cost my family.
Yes.
Some time as well, but I'm sure your wife and kids and grandkids are so thankful for all you invested, because now you're really able to be that father, grandfather, husband.
Yes.
That you were designed to be, right?
Exactly. And that's the goal now. That's what, the path that I'm on is to be there for them, be present.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yep.
Well, Derrick, thanks so much. Guys, thanks for listening. Again, reach out, get help if you need it. And I loved your little tip about counseling, that we all probably need to have a counselor and just check in every once in a while, right?
Yes.
Sounds good. Okay, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Tuscarawas County Anti-Drug Coalition podcast. Please follow us on Facebook and visit our website at adctusk.org.